Good morning, Unity of Madison. Thank you for choosing to spend this time with us, whether you're online or in person. After the service, those of you who are present, we invite you to join us in the Namaste Cafe downstairs for some refreshments. I am Louis Phillips, and I will be your celebration assistant today. Let's start with our opening song, a Zulu personal declaration. And now we'll have the opening prayer with our prayer chaplain, Diane Gould.
Good morning, everyone. If you could settle back in your chair and put your feet on the floor and just take a deep breath and just relax in place. Sweet Spirit, we thank you for this beautiful spring day. We are surrounded by grace and divine love and order as we come together here and with those of us live streaming. Today we are grateful that 3 members of our congregation will make their commitments to the Prayer Chaplain program. We affirm their zeal will guide them into their new role. As we venture out of here today, we will be guided by love, wisdom, and faith. We will imagine good unfolding in every area of our life. Thank you, sweet Spirit, and so it is.
Thanks, Diane. Diane will be in the prayer corner after service for any of you who would like to pray with her. Also, if you would like to submit a prayer request in writing, you can put a prayer request in the box there, and it will be reviewed by the prayer team. And also, after a certain number of days, 30 days, it'll be sent to Silent Unity in Lee Summit, Missouri. Okay, now it's our congregational song, What a Wonderful World.
What
Now it's time for our Unity Weekend update. The speaker schedule coming up on Sunday, May 28th will be Barry Roberts, our licensed Unity teacher, in person. And on Sunday, June 4th, will be Reverend Richard Bunch via video. And then on Sunday, June 11th, will be Barry Roberts again in person. Yay, Barry. Thank you. Coming up in July is Christmas in July. And again, this is a way that we support the domestic abuse intervention services. And if you have any questions whatsoever, contact Jennifer Parker via the church office for the details of Christmas in July. Also, they're looking for some volunteers, elves they call them, to help out with this particular fundraiser. The Fourth Friday Fellowship is coming up this coming Friday on May 26th at 10 a.m. at the Lakeside Street Coffee House. So anyway, if you are interested in some great conversation and fellowship, please join folks at 10 a.m. Lakeside Street Coffee House this coming Friday. And finally, the spring churchwide book study group continues through this week. We're reading the book Finding Yourself in Transition, and you can find out more information at unityofmadison.org. The books are available in the bookstore, also on Amazon. It's a really good book. I've been reading it, and I think it's a great study. And if you are interested in many more events, go to our website, unityofmadison.org. There'll be a lot more things posted there. Okay, now it's time for our prayer chaplain commitment ceremony, and Barry is going to lead this.
Thanks, Louis. Welcome, everybody, and everyone online. One of the blessings we have here at Unity of Madison and in the Unity Movement are prayer chaplains. And so we have our prayer corner over here where chaplains are available after service to pray with people, and they also make prayer calls, and we hold sacred space during services, and it's a real blessing to this community to have that kind of service. And today we're bringing in 3 new prayer chaplains, which is awesome, only one of which is actually here, but Carol Harm, Kay Frazier, and Kari Henn will be joining the team. And we had a little ceremony last night with their commitments and so forth. So they're all good, but there were conflicts. So would you guys like to come up? Mary Lynn is the team leader of the prayer chaplains. Okay, come on up. Diane. And Mary Lynn took over last summer when there was some turnover, and has been leading the group ever since, recruited some members, had the training, and has done an awesome job. Okay. And we got music. Well, actually, we do have music. The first thing we're going to do is a little warm-up here with the song, a prayer chaplain song we used for many years. Some of you may remember this, I Am That I Am. And there's some hand gestures that go along with it. And so we're going to I'd encourage everyone to stand if you are able so that you can do the gestures. Just kind of follow along, and we'll do them the best we can. We repeat the whole thing 3 times. On the 3rd verse, the first half of it, we'll just go silent. It's just something we do on the 3rd verse, and I'll say that. So, okay, everyone ready? Pete?
We go silent, but we keep doing the hand.
Yeah, you keep doing the hand gestures. So next, I'm going to do a little reading that's adapted from James Dillard Freeman's poem, Every Man a Minister, and we adapted it for this prayer chaplain time. So, what does it mean to be a prayer chaplain? What does it means to give that those who lack may receive. It means to love so that those who feel unloved may have someone who never rejects them, someone whom they can always identify themselves. It means to stay at peace so those who are contentious will have someone to whom they can turn to stabilize themselves. It means to keep a cheerful outlook so that those who are easily cast down may have someone to lift them up. It means to keep faith and to keep on keeping faith even when you yourself find little reason for believing, so that those who have no faith can find the courage to live. It means not merely to live a life of prayer, but to turn your prayers into life. More life for you, more life for those to whom you minister. It means to be God-centered and human-hearted, to involve yourself in humanity and to keep your vision on man's divinity so that draw forth all around you the human form divine. This is what it means to be a prayer chaplain and to serve Unity of Madison. And then next we'll have statements of commitment that actually Kay is the new person here, so I will read a statement and then ask her to say, I will, after each. Okay. I promise to stay prayed up.
I will.
I promise to live my life by unity principles.
I will.
I promise to support my teammates, congregation, and lay leaders. I promise to hold the prayers of others in confidence and trust.
I will.
I promise to be a force of love and faith at Unity of Madison.
I will.
Thank you. And now, Diane and Mary Lynn. Diane's our senior member. And she has her prayer stall. Now, Kay is official. I present you with and let's do our unity blessing to Kay and our whole prayer chaplain team. Prayer chaplains, we love you, we bless you, we appreciate you, and we behold the Christ you are. Amen.
If you are visiting us for the first time, I'd like to welcome you. There's a packet of information available on the back table. Or if you are watching online, you can get a packet of information sent to you by contacting office@unityofmadison.org. And now it's time for our Unity of Madison affirmation, which I think will be up here. There we go. If you would repeat it with me. Unity of Madison is abundantly blessed. Creative people are drawn to us. Divine ideas flow through us. Financial resources bless us. And with God as our source, we accomplish mighty works together. And now it's time to greet our neighbors, and we'll sing, I See the Light in Your Eyes. Okay, a few introductions. Our musicians today are the Unity Jazz Band and Pete Calgaro. Yay! And our speaker, as well as our meditation leader, is the Reverend Richard Bunch. Yes. And the gratitude of the week goes to those of you participating in the Capital Campaign. We are now 6 months into our Capital Campaign. We have been so blessed by the support of the community and recognizing the needs of these projects and how they will benefit our facility and our community. Your support is vital to keep these projects moving forward. Thank you for your generosity in making these donations. Thanks to all who are participating in the Capital Campaign. And now it is time to read the daily word. The word for today is protection. There's only one power and one presence in the universe and in my life. God, omnipotence, omniscience, and omnipresent is not only all around me, God is within me. As I take this truth into my heart, I feel calm and secure. The circumstances of the world have no lasting power over me. God is greater and more enduring than anything I may be called to face. I have within me the power to feel God's protecting presence at any time. As I pray, I affirm the strength and power of God are mine to call upon. I can use these divine powers to move beyond that which may scare or intimidate me. In renewed faith and deep security, I move bravely forward. And the scripture reading is from 1 John 4:4. The one who is in you is greater than the one who is in the world. And now if you would repeat with me today's affirmation. Here we go. As I practice the presence of God, I feel secure. Okay, now it is time for some special music.
Well, good morning, Unity of Madison. It's good to be back with you again. I miss seeing you in person, but I also really look forward to spending time with you on these Sunday mornings. This particular Sunday, we're going to talk about its transition time, and it certainly is for Unity of Madison. You know, Robert Brummett, in his book, Finding Yourself in Transition, says that everything in this phenomenal world has at least one thing in common. It all had a beginning, and it all will come to an end. We celebrate beginnings and often are saddened by endings. We think transitions start with a beginning and end at the end. However, there must be an ending before we can experience a new beginning. George Carlin said, "Just when I discovered the meaning of life, they changed it." It's so true as we look at this idea of life and transitions. And as we do, we start to understand this process of transition. It's not the changes that do you in, it is the transitions. This is in a book called Managing Transitions by William Bridges, PhD. He's probably called the master of understanding change and the power of change in our lives, and especially transitions. And so as we think about this, that what we want to do is understand that change is pretty concrete. Change is something that takes place that you and I have no choice over, such as running out of gas. That is a change. And you can't change that unless you put new gas in. The experience of life itself so often brings about change. We all remember when there was no iPhone. We all remember when there was no iPad. We all remember when there was no internet, or most of us do. And so what we're doing is experiencing change at such a rate, it is really hard on the mind, hard on the heart, and hard on our emotions. So change is inevitable. It takes place. And what we have to decide is that how are we going to manage that through these transitions that we live in and live through. You know, letting go of the old ways and the old identity people have is important for beginning change. The beginning of change is the ending, not the beginning again. The void, which is a second phase of transition, is the idea of how we understand and come into this place where we're not sure where we are. It's going, in essence, through an in-between time when the old is being released and is now gone, and the new hasn't really fully developed itself. It's not fully operational. And we call this the void or the neutral zone. Coming out of the void and making a new beginning is when people develop their new identity, experience a new energy, and discover a new sense of purpose. That makes the change begin to work. However, until we are ready for change, until we can experience that change in a positive and loving way, we are not ready to leave that transitional point, or what we call the void. And when we understand this, we understand that there is a great deal of anxiety and that change creates. And I got this little chart here where we kind of understand that there's high anxiety at the top column, and we have high control over or low control over a situation. When we have low control over a situation, the anxiety is greater. When we create the change or create the transition, what happens is that we have a lower level of anxiety because we feel like we're in charge. And so we may have very low anxiety if we create the change, or we can have high anxiety if we're not expecting the change and we really don't know what to do with ourselves when that change occurs. That we have to stop and think and go through a transition. And some of the things that create this are when something's stolen, people sense that they've been invaded, that it creates a fear, and so what happens is that when something's stolen, people really become very concerned. My mother was robbed outside the same grocery store twice, and in both cases, she fought back to keep her pocketbook from being stolen. Now, my mother was all of 5 feet tall at the best, and she said 5'2", but I'm not sure that's ever true. And she was a feisty person, though, if you pushed the buttons in her. And so both of those individuals who tried to steal something from her were unsuccessful. And yet it did create, I remember her talking about it, it did create a sense of anxiousness, a sense of wondering if she could be in control, a sense of wondering whether it would happen again. And so she was very alert when she went to any grocery store, especially the one where that incident occurred. We also might have a great deal of anxiety when we are losing a friend, whether it's through a relationship that's good that turns bad, or whether it is somebody moves away or somebody passes away, and that can create a problem. We also know that divorce can create high anxiety, especially for the person who does not want to be divorced. And in most cases, that's the situation. One person wants divorce, the other person does not. And so it creates a different level of anxiety in each of the partners who were together maybe for a while, but now have decided to go different ways. Job loss certainly creates the idea of anxiety and change, because when it happens, you don't know exactly what to do with it. I love the story that Eric Butterworth told in one of his books, where a fellow came in and said, I am really sad today. I lost my job. I got fired. Butterworth looked at him and said, congratulations. Now you have an opportunity for even a better job. And the fellow kind of opened his eyes and thought about that for a second. So yeah, that's a great idea. And within 3 weeks, had another job, paid more, and he was happier on the job. So we have these opportunities, if you would, to go through these transitions, some faster than others and some slower than others. And when we do that, we begin to understand the process of letting go, the process of letting spirit, in essence, release the moment. And when we let spirit release what's going on, what happens is it relaxes the body. You see, your divine mind has the ability to be in charge and to relax your body. And what you're relaxing is your body memory, so that you and I can accept the changes necessary in our lives. When we let go of spirit and trust spirit, we know that it all will come out all right. Now, I may not be expecting the change. I might be pretty disappointed with the change initially. But if I turn it over to spirit, I will learn how to adjust to the change and to know that an ending has taken place, and to literally be comfortable and reduce my anxiety because of that. And what I'd like to do this morning is kind of share my story, if you would, with each of you about being in transition. You see, I was in transition for quite some time. As a matter of fact, as I look back on it, I found that I was in transition for about 8 years. And what happened is that I sold my company. I sold my company I thought, in order to save the company from the change that I did not want to happen for the employees. And so I was not totally comfortable with selling, but I did it. And I thought it was the right decision at the time. But what I kept doing after that for about 8 years was I tried to duplicate what I had created, and I did not really want to accept the change within myself. And it was very emotionally disabling to me. I had to look back to see that. I didn't understand it at the time. And so I drifted in this void for 8 years and would not let go of the end until I had to confront my true calling. I continued to try to reinvent in some form or fashion the company that I had created. I tried to make the same kind of money I was making. I tried to manage change, but I didn't have the emotional maturity. I didn't have the calmness. I certainly was not depending on spirit to guide direct me. My ego was at work. And when I joined Unity, I started to understand that process. And then one day, where I was working, I was doing consulting work, and I was actually stepping into a very exciting time for that consulting work, interesting enough. I was working with two companies trying to merge them because they had a lot in common, and they had a lot in common in regard to how they ran their business. And we were in a meeting, and the owners of the other two businesses were there. I was there. And all of a sudden, I saw myself looking down into the meeting. I was literally having an out-of-body experience, and I've never had one before. And as I looked down in the meeting, I recognized that I was no longer supposed to be there, that my calling was to go to work for Unity of El Paso. Not as the minister, because I wasn't qualified for that, but as a leader, as a manager, as a way of helping the church reform itself and rebuild itself. And so I left that meeting, went home, told my wife I was going to quit my job. That didn't sound too smart to her, but I told her I was going to quit my job. And I continued then to begin to understand my real calling, to be a Unity minister. And that this was a calling that had been in my heart for many years. I just didn't find the right place at the right time until I joined Unity. And so I listened to this calling. And as I listened to this calling, what happened was I said goodbye to the people I was consulting with. I said hello to Unity El Paso. I started off kind of like a business manager. I then spoke a few Sundays because they didn't always have a speaker. And that seemed to catch on. And then eventually I was hired as a spiritual director. And I stayed there for 5 years. And I needed to be there for 5 years because I needed to continue to go through the transition of understanding myself and understanding my relationship with spirit, understanding my relationship with the world, literally, and knowing and understanding how to use that in order to move through the transition that I was now experiencing. I had finally understood that the end had happened and that now I was beginning anew. It changed my life. But it took me 8 years to grow and to manage the change that I needed to become. You know, there is the ending, which we've been talking about today. Then, as I said earlier, there is the void, or the neutral zone that William Bridges talks about. Or there is a new beginning. And there is no or when I say that. It really is going to happen. It's the way we move through change. the more we are in charge of the change, the more we manage the change, the less traumatic and the less of a uneasiness that is about us. Instead, we are fully present. We can make the right decisions in the right way. When we are not in the process of ending a situation, we begin to be attached to what was. We begin to become uncomfortable. We begin to make bad decisions, actually. So the next time we talk, we're going to be talking about this idea of how to go through a transition. And going through that transition, we're talking about the void. What is it like when we're in the void? What is it like when we're in that neutral zone? Well, that's up to us as to how we manage that. And the next time I see you, I'll be speaking on that topic and continue this idea. It's transition time. So let's just relax for a moment. And as we do, we begin to understand that in the silence, we find so many answers. In the silence, we are able to be in charge. In the silence, we are able to think through our hearts, to embrace love as a catalyst for change. And as we sit in the silence, maybe for you there is some change going on. Change you didn't invite into your life, but has happened. And I give you this opportunity just to relax and let spirit be your guide. To know that as you relax into this moment, at some point, maybe today, maybe tomorrow, maybe next week, there will be a revelation to you of what yours is to do in order to let the end be the end and transition into new beginnings. Let's just be in the silence. So I give thanks to the I am within me and within you, knowing that we can trust that I am to give us the answers necessary to move us forward so that we can experience all life has to offer to us in a positive and loving way. And so it is. Amen.
How we can turn that around and focus on things that we have. Did you want to add something?
I need hot pedals.
What was that? Yeah, so if everyone wants to lift up what we got so far for flowers, you can do that. So.
So let's bless our youth education department and our children's. We love you, we bless you, we appreciate you, and we behold the Christ you are. Thank you. And now, if the kids want to find their moms and dads, that'd be great. It's time for our peace song, so please rise and join in the peace song. And now let us do our prayer for protection. The light of God surrounds us. I am light. The love of God enfolds us. I am love. The power of God protects us. I am power. And the presence of God watches over us. I am presence. Wherever we are, God is, and all is well. Amen.